Hello, my dear ones. This topic has been on my mind for a while. This idea of, are we willing to be the bad guy? Are we willing to have bad guys in our life? And this talk that I listened to by Ram Dass this morning just perfectly summed it up for me. So I'm going to put the link to that talk in the description, and the part where he answers the question, is there evil in reality, is at 32 minutes and 50 seconds. So I'll put that in the description. But basically, I really love thinking about this concept of being the bad guy. Okay. If you go even earlier in the talk, Ram Dass talks a little bit about, I think it was Richard Nixon, because he was very involved in the Vietnam War protests. And he talks about how he would not make the same decision as Richard Nixon did. However, he understands that Richard Nixon was making the decision based on what he interpreted to make sense for the moment. So this just goes hand in hand with Byron Katie's quote, which I know I always say, but it's like the thing that gives me the most freedom in life is understanding that if I were thinking and believing what you were thinking and believing, I would do the exact same thing. So the reason why I love this quote so much is because one, it gives you the like a logical reason to release others from blame and to release ourselves from guilt and blame. But it also parallels really beautifully with the nervous system work because as we understand the role of the vagus nerve in keeping us surviving on the planet, it is that when we go into the defense state, right, we have to see an enemy. You cannot be in a state of defense if there's no enemy. So it requires that triangle, I think it's called the drama triangle or something like that, of having a victim, a savior, and a perpetrator. So when we're here, we have to be in that paradigm. We have to see someone else as the enemy or ourselves as the enemy. That's the only way to be in defense, like by definition, right? So you can't have like defense without an enemy. It just, that's the definition of the word. So we're in the defense state. Our amygdala cuts us off from the frontal lobe. And the frontal lobe is where we can access that empowerment dynamic or triangle, which is the Cartman triangle or something is, I'm mixing up the terms, but I think it's the empowerment dynamic is the coach, challenger, and creator. And then the Cartman triangle maybe is the victim, villain, and savior. So when we go up back to our frontal lobe, we can do the like, oh, you're not a villain, you're not the bad guy, you're just a challenger. Like you're presenting me with the opportunity to create. And I'm not a victim, I'm a creator. Like I can use all input as like raw material for creating something. And I don't need a savior. They use the word coach. I like the word collaborator because it has like a co-regulation vibe, which I think is actually what we're here to do is to collaborate with each other, not like have a hierarchy of like I'm coaching you. So we can then like collaborate with someone who can help us to create through this challenge. So in all of these frameworks, they all like stack on top of each other really nicely, which is one of my favorite things to discover when trying to understand this reality that we're in, is that really and truly I'm a different person when I'm in a defense state. So when I'm in a defense state, I don't have access to creative thinking, perspective taking, compassion, complex language, um, curiosity, imagination, inspiration, all of these things. I just don't. I'm just a little alligator. And so for Richard Nixon or for Hitler or for myself, when I act outside of my values, it's just because of what I'm thinking and believing. So if I'm thinking and believing that I have an enemy, I'm going to be here and I'm going to use the tools of a reptile. And there's innocence there, which is just the greatest gift to me in my experience on this planet. Because I can see the innocence within me and let go of judgment towards myself. I can see the innocence in others and let go of judgment towards them. And so when we come back to this, like, is there evil in reality? I really like connecting in with this absolute innocence. Like, there are people who are doing actions that maybe I wouldn't choose to do, but I have a limited perspective. And maybe when I zoom out, or even in a year from now, I may look back at some of the things that I thought made a lot of sense according to what I was thinking and believing now, and they won't make sense anymore. So, a really good example of this is that growing up, I was involved in evangelical Christianity, and I was like 2000% born again, really into it, loved it so much, trained how to evangelize, went out with pamphlets and talked to people about coming to Jesus and saving their lives. I was passionate, I was committed, I was voted most Christ-like every single year in my Baptist school growing up. I was the school chaplain. I led Bible study every week. I was a junior Republican. I was extremely active in both Christian life and Christian political Republican life, all the way through my freshman year of college. So was that me, or was I a bad guy? And what's interesting is that if I look back on the me then, I had a different name. There's a different name on my birth certificate. There's a different name on my marriage certificate. There's a different name on my divorce certificate. And there's even a different name on my current driver's license and social security card. So which one of those are me? For me, I'm playing iterations of different characters. That character, who was a really strong Christian and passionate Republican, was that person, that character, a bad guy? It depends on your perspective, really. And something that I really am finding a lot of freedom in is saying, I'm willing to be the bad guy. So, like, if I met that person who I was in high school, I would experience my high school character as a bad guy, right? And my high school character may have been like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not a bad guy. I'm doing everything right according to the system that I've been taught to think and believe. And so, can I be willing to be a bad guy? It's a great little story of I had a neighbor who had been very close friends with someone from a previous life. And so had heard a lot of things about me that were not like my current reality, but made them experience me as a bad guy. And I spent a few years trying to prove to them that I was not a bad guy and feeling very victimized by the fact that they were like ignoring me, talking bad about me, like shunning me basically, and affecting other friendships as a result. I really felt victimy about it, and I wanted to prove to everybody that I wasn't a bad guy. Nothing improved. And then I finally decided, like, you know what? If they need me to be their bad guy, like, why not? So I'll just let them see me as a bad guy. And I stopped trying to change it at all. And within about 2 years, I don't, still to this day, I have no idea what happened. They all of a sudden started being really friendly to me. And now, like, their kid comes and plays at my house. Like, we say hi in the parking lot. Like, everybody's hunky dory. And I don't need an explanation because right now they see me as a good guy. And so I'm willing to have people see me as a bad guy or as a good guy, which has helped me so much in this past year, couple of years, because especially with my relationship with my kid and my co-parent, who often see me as a bad guy. And I can be like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll be your bad guy. It's a grace, actually. Byron Katie, when I did the work with her several years ago, I had brought to her one about a painful thought about people not liking me or wanting to be good. And she was like, that's, other people, when they're in pain, they don't have all the skills and resources to be able to like transmute that pain into growth yet. And maybe they need to have you be the bad guy so they don't have to sit with the pain themselves. Like, that's a nice thing for you to do for them. Why don't you be willing to do that? Because she knows that it doesn't affect me if they think I'm a bad guy. And that was really liberating for me to be like, yeah, that's kindness, in the time period when I was in high school, when I didn't have the skills and resources to be able to see that like there's no bad guys and that I could just like develop myself and let everybody else live their own lives and truths and I don't need to go save everybody. I didn't have the skills to see that like there wasn't, I needed to have enemies. I needed to have the Democrats be bad guys or the non-Christians be bad guys because that helped me stay sane in this construct of everybody telling me that like you have to be a Christian, right? I wouldn't have been able to handle this broader truth. So it's a kindness to let other people see you as a bad guy because that's all the resources they have. And it makes it so they don't have to like face that huge pain inside of themselves that they're not ready for yet. Like I wouldn't ask a kid who is just learning how to walk to ride a bicycle. Like that wouldn't be a kindness. So am I willing to let other people see me as a bad guy? Yeah. And it's helped me too in not just in my relationships, but it's helped me in my professional life, right? Because I can come on here and make videos about all sorts of things that people might think are like weird or wrong or bad. And I can trust that if you want me to be the bad guy and you want to, make a comment on my YouTube video or not work with me or say something bad about me, then I'm okay with that because I want to let you have whatever experience you have. And vice versa, what's nice about this premise or mythology is that then I can let bad guys be bad guys too. I don't have to change them. I can go ahead and I can share, my current version of my understanding. If somebody's um, doing something that I'm experiencing as I don't want it in my life, then I can say, like, oh, hey, like, I don't think I want to participate with you calling me names, for example. So I'm going to hang up the phone. And I get to do that without blame or judging. I don't have to make them the bad guy in order to give me an excuse to get out of that. So it's sort of like if everyone was walking around with snacks and some people offer you a snack you really like I love chips, okay? So the people who offer me chips, they're not good guys, but I'm like, ooh, yeah, I'd love some chips, thank you. And then the people who are offering me something I really don't like, so let's say shrimp cocktail, that sounds disgusting to me, right? So the people who offer me shrimp cocktail are not bad guys, they're just offering me something I don't want. So I can say, oh, no thanks, and walk away, right? It's no harm, no foul. Like you can offer shrimp if you want. I'm just not going to take the shrimp. And as I come from a place of uh innocence, then I'm not bringing more violence to the situation. So when somebody is offering shrimp and I'm like, listen, the seas are overfished and the sharks are dying and we're all going to die if you keep eating shrimp, right? Then I'm coming from that defense state and I'm bringing so much violence to that interaction that like they're not going to have a healing as a result of that. And I'm not going to probably make positive change. So this comes a little into social action, which he also, Ram Dass talks about in this conversation. Okay, I've got to wrap this up because I am heading to my therapy appointment, which I'm very excited about. So I love you all. Let me know what you think about this idea of good guys, bad guys, and if there's evil in reality, and if you're willing to be the bad guy. Okay, love you.